We are in January, and if you are waiting for your priority date to be current, then let's talk about the January Visa Bulletin. The Visa Bulletin is basically the State Department's way of telling you when your case is almost ready to be filed or when your case can be approved. So there's two charts. There's the final action date chart, and then there's the date for filing chart. We're going to be talking about both of those and see if there's any movements in each category. But before we get into that, we're going to look at the categories. By the way, I am Attorney Lilian Chukwurah. I'm a U.S. immigration attorney, and I help my clients get green cards and citizenships for themselves and their families using the U.S. immigration law system. Before we jump into the chart, let's talk about the two things you're going to need to be able to use the Visa Bulletin Charts. The first one is your priority date, and the second is your visa category. So both of those things are going to be on your I-130 receipt notice or your approval notice. So it will be on both of those documents. So whichever one you have on you, you can see your priority date and your visa category on the receipt notice, and or if you have the approval notice already. So that's the I-130 receipt notice or the approval notice. It will have your priority date and your visa category. Once you have those two things, let's talk about what number they will give you. Once you have those two things, now we can jump into the charts, right? You need to know your visa category. When it comes to the visa categories, on the Visa Bulletin, it's broken down by F1, F2A, F2B, F3, and F4. If you're hearing all of that for the first time and you're wondering, what the heck does that even mean? Let's talk about it. So F1 is the unmarried sons and daughters of U.S. citizens. These are children that are already over the age of 21. So they no longer count as immediate relatives of a U.S. citizen. F2A are the spouses and children of permanent residents. In this situation, children mean unmarried and under the age of 21. F2B is the unmarried sons and daughters of permanent residents. These are the children that are over the age of 21 but are unmarried. F3 are the sons and daughters of U.S. citizens that are married. Okay, they get their own category. And then F4 is the siblings of U.S. citizens, so brothers and sisters of U.S. citizens. Now, you may be thinking, why don't I see a category for siblings of permanent residents or married children of permanent residents? That is because permanent residents cannot file for their married children or their siblings, and they can't file for their parents either. They have to wait till they are U.S. citizens before they can do those applications. As always, we are going to be looking at the prior month Visa Bulletin and this month's Visa Bulletin so we can actually see where the shifts happen. We always want to see a shift in the priority dates to show that, okay, more people can now get their visas approved. More people can now start filing their adjustment of status or their visa applications. That's what we want every single month when we're looking at the Visa Bulletin. It doesn't always happen, and this month it definitely did not happen in most categories, but we're going to get into that right now. So we're going to start with the final action date chart. This is for cases that are already ready for an interview. The officer can approve these cases once they get to that final stage, right? Once the case has been interviewed and it's ready for a decision, if your priority date is current on the final action date chart, that means the officer can actually approve your case. If it is not current, the officer cannot approve the case. Okay, that is really important to know. That's what this chart does, and it is a very important chart to pay attention to. We are also going to be looking at the dates for filing chart, but we're going to get to that next. So For F1, remember that is the sons and daughters, unmarried sons and daughters of U.S. citizens that are over the age of 21. We are going to see that for December, which is this right here, and January, which is right here, that there's really no change except for Mexico and the Philippines. So Mexico went from March 1st, 2006 to September 1st, 2006. That means anyone that filed between March 1st, 2006 and September 1st, 2006, their priority date is now current, meaning the officer can now approve their case. So that is a major jump for a lot of people, okay? For the Philippines, we also see a jump there. It went from January 22, 2013 to March 1st, 2013. For F2A, it is basically the same. For F2A, it is the same in every single category for every single country. So basically, for F2A, for all countries, India, Mexico, and the Philippines, there is no change. For F2B, however, there is a change for Mexico and the Philippines. Every other country stays the same from December. However, for Mexico and the Philippines, we do see a jump. So for Mexico, it went from May 15, 2008 to November 15, 2008. For the Philippines, for F2B, we do see that there is a jump. It went from October 8, 2012 to December 22, 2012. So it's it's a couple months, but it is still going to make a difference for a lot of people that are waiting for their priority date to be current. For the F3 categories, remember those are the married children of U.S. citizens. There is no change except for the Philippines. So the Philippines had a change from November 1st, 2004 to March 1st, 2005. That is a big jump, and a lot of people are going to be able to now get their visas approved. So that is a big change. For F4, which are the siblings of U.S. citizens, we can see that there is no change except for one country, and that is the Philippines, which went from July 15, 2006 to July 22, 2006. That may not seem like a lot to you. Right? It's just a few days, but it does matter because what if you filed within that date, right? What if your priority date falls within that and now you can get your visa approved? Any movement forward on the visa bulletin is a good thing. Sometimes it retrogresses, which we don't want, but these are positive movements in the visa bulletin, and we truly, truly like those. Now let's talk about the date for filing chart. This chart really tells you when you can start filing your adjustment of status and when the National Visa Center can start processing your visa application when they send you that welcome email telling you can now log in and start your DS-260 and your affidavit of support. This is the chart that will tell you how close you are to that happening. For the date for filing chart for F1, we do not see a change except for Mexico, right? For F1, we only see a change for Mexico. It went from March 1st, 2007 to September 1st, 2007. Every other country stayed the same. For F2A, it went up a month. So it went from November 22nd, 2025 to December 22nd, 2025. And this is for every single category. That is the most current, right, category that we will have on the visa bulletin, right? It is very close to when you file that you will be able to basically get that adjustment of status application filed as well. So for F2B, there is a change for all countries, China, India, and Mexico, but the Philippines stayed the same at October 1st, 2013. Every single country plus China and India went from March 8, 2017 to March 15, 2017. Mexico went from May 15, 2009 to November 15, 2009. That is a nice little jump there, okay? So if you are from Mexico and your priority date falls within that, you can now start filing your adjustment of status application if you qualify to adjust your status in the US, or you can now expect the National Visa Center to send you that welcome email and be able to start your visa processing. For F3, we do not see a change except for the Philippines. So every other category is staying the same. The Philippines is going from November 1st, 2005 to February 1st, 2006. Okay, it's a few months, but again, any movement forward is a good thing when it comes to the visa bulletin. All right. And then for F4, we are only seeing the movement for the Philippines. It is going from January 1st, 2008 to January 15, 2008. Not a huge jump, but movement is welcome. And one thing everyone needs to know about the visa bulletin, why are cases that were filed in 2001 for some countries, like for Mexico, for example, cases that were filed in 2001 for F3 and F4 are still not even close to getting an interview. Well, the reason for that, if you do not already know, is that each visa category has a number. There's a limit of how many visas that can be approved every single year for each category. And once that number is up, that's it for the year. Okay? The embassy can't schedule any more interviews. The embassy can't do anything else. Once they reach that number, that is it. So that's why the visa bulletin is so important to look at every single month, because it can have a shift, and that shift can make all of the difference for your visa category. Okay, so it's not that your case can't be approved. It's that there's not enough visas available, and that's why people are waiting decades. Okay, 2001. Okay, I wasn't even in the US yet, and people have been waiting since then to get a visa to the US, and they've been waiting for that visa to be processed and approved since 2001. All right, so it's really important to understand that it's not that people don't want to file for their family members. It's not that people don't want to go through the legal immigration system. It's that they are going through the legal immigration system. It's just taken decades to get to a final place where people can actually get their green card. So that's why I go through the visa bulletin with y'all every single month, because if you're not paying attention, you may miss the fact that your priority date is now current because you overlooked your category. So remember, if you have your priority date and you know your visa category, the visa bulletin should be checked every single month so that you know when you are getting close to having your visa approved. All right. I hope this has been helpful to you. If you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the comments. If you're not sure what your category is, please ask in the comments. I am more than happy to answer your questions. And then if you are looking to file for a family member, or if you're looking to figure out what you qualify for as far as US immigration is concerned, and you're not sure where to start, well, you can start by scheduling a strategy session with me. It is a free 15-minute session where we talk about your situation and figure out what options may be available to you and how I can help you make that option happen. If you want to schedule that strategy session, you can go to my website, lilylegal.com, click on Contact Us, and you can pick a date and time that works best for you for us to talk about your case.